You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in. All right, you guys, we're going to address a couple things in this video. So, again, appreciate everybody that's tapped in. Salute to all of y'all that joined the stream. Like, share, and subscribe, and let's get right into this. Now, I want to start off by talking about the most infamous thing I talked about yesterday, and that is the surprise statements of many people who are not involved in the investigation or not. What I mean by involved in the investigation, I mean they're not police officers, they're not a part of the police force, and they're not current, detectives that are linked to this police force, uh, where only the police of the Jackson County Police Department and the FBI officials can conduct and have information relevant and prevalent to this case. For you guys who don't know, Nolan Wells' mother and his father, Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, they went and did an emergency press conference yesterday. They've been doing emergency press conferences because they have not gotten answers. Obviously, if anybody has any common sense, it will tell you that Ben Crump and his team, they don't have any answers. They've looked at everything pretty much that they have, and they don't have the answers that they need. The evidence or whatever they collected, it didn't get them anywhere. If it did, Ben Crump would have stated it. Ben Crump came out and their last ditch effort to now get the FBI involved to take over the investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. And if you guys remember, somebody asked Al Sharpton yesterday, they said, "Hey, Al, well, what happens if it comes back that it's just a drowning?" Al says, "Look, hey, we'll accept that if we have a fair, impartial investigation." Now, Al Sharpton also said something else later on in the interview, later on after that, where he talked about if the seats change, I think in the midterms, that he is going to make sure that he uses whatever power he have to get something done in the investigation. I forgot exactly what he said, but he's saying if the seats change because they don't really trust Donald Trump's administration, right? And remember, Donald Trump's administration, he's the one who picks the FBI director, Kash Patel. He's the one that has Todd Blanche involved. That's Donald Trump's former lawyer. And then you have Donald Trump's current lawyer who works as his lawyer for defamation cases, that's working on this case right now with these boys. So I think that Al Sharpton and Ben Crumpiner may look at that as a conflict of interest in a way, even though you know the parameters are what they are. You got you have a different whole type of situation. I still think they may look at that because the fact that they mention that lets you know that they're looking at that in a suspectful way. But beyond that, and I wanted to say because if you listen to what Tatum is saying, and he told last night Nancy Grace that the cops are not investigating a murder. There is no way this man can have this information unless he spoke with somebody on the inside. There's just no way. And if there is a leak in the police department that is leaking information to these lawyers, let me give you another example, ladies and gentlemen. One of the lawyers came out and stated, "Hey man, I pretty much bet my career that they haven't given their phone to the police officers and cooperated as far as giving their phones to the police department to be examined." Come to find out, the parents have a attorney that's working with Ben Crump write a letter and say, "Hey, look, we're willing to give our phones. We just want everybody to meet up." So how did he know that that phone hadn't been turned in? If there was no information that's been leaked on this case, then Chris Cuomo came out and said, "Hey, man, this isn't even speculation." Chris Cuomo says this is not speculation. He says that the autopsy found signs that Nolan Wells drowned. Now, he did preface his comments by saying, "Listen, we don't know how he drowned, if it was purposeful, accidental." But he says that that's what the autopsy said. It showed signs consistent with Nolan Wells drowning. And he also stated that the toxicology showed that Nolan Wells had high alcohol levels in his system. How does he know that? And if the parents haven't, so when the parents go get Ben Crump and say, "Hey man, look, this is not we not feel comfortable about the investigation," this is why. Because you have these alleged outside entities getting information. Tatum is not a cop. He hasn't been a cop for a long time. He's an ex-police officer who's running around here acting like he's Sergeant Slaughter, like he controlled the whole case and he know everything. I'm telling y'all something. When a dude is that confident walking around, hold his things and like that, I'm telling y'all, bro, he feel confident like that for a reason. Somebody on the inside telling, and I believe Ben Crump and them, they have to get a private investigator to investigate and find out. Now, I do think Ben Crump has had private investigators watching the police. How do I know that? They came out and did the press conference yesterday. They don't do that press conference yesterday and come out and demand and say, hey, man, we're giving y'all 7 days to see if we can get the FBI to take over this investigation. They're not doing that if they don't think, hey, man, this is going to come back and just say, hey, this was an accidental death. That means all the things that Ben Crump and them have reviewed, all of the evidence that they have had their forensic experts and people reviewed, came up with nothing. Remember, the autopsy, inconclusive, couldn't show the cause of death. So now they have to wait to see what the results of the state autopsy are. And then they have to wait to see if the state will cooperate with their autopsy people. That's going to take a while. Then the audio. He said almost 2.5 weeks ago now that they had people that have reviewed the full, raw, unedited CTO audio. Didn't say anything about that yesterday. Didn't come out and say, hey, man, we got evidence on this audio that this audio has been authenticated. Our forensic experts have authenticated this audio. Nope. They came out with a final swing yesterday and said, look, we need the FBI to take over this. Because what Tatum said, listen to what Tatum said. What Tatum said was, they're not, he said this last night on Nancy Grace, they're not investigating the murder, Nancy Grace. They're not investigating this as a murder. Because Nancy Grace asked him, well, why didn't they take the dogs and search that boat? See, you have to peep words and understanding. You have to peep words and understanding. Right? And while those boys, they may be innocent, I still believe something happened with Nolan Wells on that island later on that day. But I'm going to tell y'all something else because I'm not going to make this video long for y'all. I went back and I need a specialist that is licensed to analyze photos. I need him to do something. These are questions that nobody has asked. And this could go further to prove whether the boys are telling the truth or whether the boys are lying, which a lot of people are feeling one way or another about it. If you follow Tatum's channel, they feel like all the boys are telling the truth. If you follow all the other content creators that's in the Black community, they feel like for the most part, these guys are lying. Me, I'm still sitting here waiting on all the information before I make a final decision. But I will say something. I'm listening to what they're saying. And there was another picture other than this too. And I want to say something to you guys. First of all, you're not even going to understand what I'm talking about when I say this photo. I need to see if Ben Crump can get a professional photo analyst, not to analyze the photo to see if it's real or fake, even though they should do that anyways. And if the photo was fake, the mother would have never posted it. So I do believe that this photo is real. But I'm not 100% sure until it's examined, but I don't have no reason to believe that's fake. I will say this, though. There's this photo and there's other photos of him standing up with one of the guys. Now, I need one of the Ben Crump have one of the investigators, because the boy said something specific. The boy said when they were asked by Tatum, how did they take that picture and who took that picture? The boys said they didn't take that picture with their phone. The boys said that there was some type of camera that was there that took that picture. Now, here's the thing. I need Ben Crump and them. These are easily verifiable things. I need Ben Crump and them to find who, first of all, they need to find a professional photo examiner. And then it's one thing I tried to do, but I'm not a professional, so I didn't put it on here. But I'll tell y'all what I tried to do. I took a different picture, not the one that has these boys' faces blurred out a little bit, but I took the original one with all their faces. And I took another one where it was Nolan and one of his friends that was there that day too. Before they went, they had taken some pictures, right? The one thing they did is they had on sunglasses. And anybody who knows, when you have on sunglasses, if you look closely at the sunglasses, you can see the reflection of who's on the other side or what's on the other side. I tried to blow up those sunglasses as much as I can to see if it's a actual cell phone that took the picture or if it was like a GoPro camera or one of those cameras that you get like a DG camera, a DJI camera. I forget how you call it. But people have these like cameras like you could just put in the hand and you could take these type of pictures. I need them to examine what type of device potentially was used to take this picture. And not only that, I need to see, especially in that other picture with Nolan and the other boy, to zoom in and look inside their glasses and see if that's a phone or if that's like a device. I couldn't really tell. I couldn't really tell. I didn't want to guess. So that's why I didn't come on here because I'm not here to guess. But I couldn't really tell what type of device was used. But I tried to blow it up, especially in the other picture. I think I need an expert to look at that to see, because that would go to verify or not the boy's story. Because the boy sat up there and said, "Yo, they had this camera there," because they said they all put their phones down. They had this little camera there, and that's what they used to take this photo. So hopefully, an expert will look at that. Also, I want to put this question out here because a lot of people are leaving things on the table. The very next morning, first thing, when they searched the island, did they see any footprints that was consistent with Nolan Wells on the island? Think about this. There were tons of people on that island that day. But Nolan would have had to have had a distinct size. He was a little bit taller than some of these people look like. That's a serious question. Did they check that island for footprints to kind of see if there were fresh footprints over around that area on the island? These are all questions. I'm telling y'all, we don't know if the police asked them. These are questions that's not being asked in the general public. See, you can come on the internet and just say anything, but if you're not asking real legitimate questions, but then there's something else. And I want to leave y'all with this. Everybody focus on the phone. Everybody focus on the keys. I'm not focused on the phone or the keys. Remember I came in here and I told y'all yesterday, I looked at this picture and look at Nolan's shorts in this picture. I do believe that's Nolan Wells right there. I believe that's Nolan with the same shorts on that yacht. And I told y'all they need to question everybody that's on that yacht to ask them if that's Nolan Wells on that yacht. If that's Nolan Wells on that yacht, that proves that Nolan Wells knew other people on the island and that he was able to get on other people's boats, because you don't get on another person's boat unless you know them. That's a no-no. That's boat etiquette. But there's something else. And I told you guys this. And this is the reason why I asked everybody this. Nobody's asking this question. You see that little yellow backpack behind Nolan's right foot, if that's Nolan Wells? Right there in the little corner of the back of the boat, there's like a lime green backpack. Whose backpack is that? Every time I remember I went on the water, I took a little backpack with me. I always did. Whenever I went on a boat I took a backpack. Always had one. I never went out without one. Never went out without one. And I asked that question because here's another question that I have to ask that nobody's asking. Nobody's asking this question. I go back to this right here. I go back to this right here. If Nolan left his phone on the boat, and let's say that's true. I asked y'all yesterday about sandals. This picture cuts off their feet so you can't see if they were wearing sandals or not. Right here in this shot. I hadn't seen any picture with their feet in the sandals. But you know what I do want to ask the boys, and I would want to ask Nolan if he was still alive. But this is a question I think everybody should be asking as well. This picture was taken before they went out to Horn Island. Where's the glasses? What did Nolan do with his glasses? Nobody's asked that question in the general public. The police may have asked that question to people, but we haven't seen that because we don't know the questions they've asked people. Those glasses. Did he have those glasses on the island? Were those glasses in his sandals on somebody else's boat? What about that red little necklace he had? What did he do with that? Did he have a bag? Did he put some of this stuff inside a little bag he had? Where did they take the beer in? Did they take the beer in bags or in a cooler? Or how did they get those beers out there? Sometimes you'll put a few beers in a bag. Sometimes you'll put some in a cooler. That's $1 million question. The necklace and the glasses. What happened to Nolan's necklace and the glasses? Let's say Nolan had his glasses out there, because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have took his glasses out there because you out on the water, you want your glasses out there. How do I know this? Every time you're out on the water, look at these guys. They all got their glasses on. They didn't take their glasses off in that water. And most people that you saw in these pictures, they ain't taking their glasses off. Why? Because it ain't that much shade out there. You in that sun, you need your glasses. Even people in the water have their glasses on. Here's the question though. What happened to Nolan's glasses? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, we always appreciate the support, and if you guys want to do so, you can use the Cash App or PayPal links. They'll be in the description box below this video or pinned at the top of the comments. The top donators will be announced every month. All right, you guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all cop the merch, and make sure that you get the weight loss formula. The links to that will be in the description box below this video. Check out our next video coming up right now.